like I don't have a partner. Sometimes I feel like my only friend is the city I live in, the city of angels. Lonely as I am, together we cry. I drive on the streets 'cause she's my companion. I walk through the hills 'cause she knows who I am. She sees my good deeds.
With winter comes fears of the flu. And sometimes the flu can be deadly, especially the bird flu. You've all heard of it. It's a virus that people catch from birds, like chickens. It's already killed hundreds of people. Fortunately, this bird flu does not spread easily from person to person. But if it evolves a way to do that, we could be in big trouble. Correspondent Chad Cohen met up with folks who would try to stop that from happening by taking a closer look into our past at the most deadly viral outbreak ever.
Whatever scary things are lurking in the back of your freezer, I'll venture a guess. You've got nothing on Terrence Tumpy. Frozen inside sits a tiny vial of what might be the deadliest pathogen in history. A virus that hadn't been seen in almost 90 years, the 1918 flu, until Tumpy brought it back from the dead.
1918 was the worst pandemic we've seen for any virus, and this killed probably at least 50 million people worldwide.
In 1918, flu took 3 times as many lives as all of World War I.
So the question is, why was it 1918 so different? Why did it cause so many excess deaths compared to other pandemics?
And could a flu that deadly strike again? We do know where all flu viruses get their start, in the digestive tracts of birds.
They just happily coexist there, not causing disease for the most part in wild birds.
But every once in a while, an ordinary bird flu changes.
It's a mistake in nature. These viruses actually get out and infect other hosts.
Hosts like people. That's what scientists think may have happened in 1918.
The thought was that in 1918, the virus did cross the species barrier and directly infect humans.
That's one theory, at least. And when a virus that begins in birds gains the ability to pass from human to human, infecting our lungs, spreading through coughs and sneezes, no one's immune because it's never been around before. And that's when a pandemic occurs. Unlike normal flu strains, which can only infect high in the respiratory tract, the 1918 virus attacked tissue deep in the lungs as well, and that's a vulnerable spot.
The delicate areas of our lung tissues causing this extreme inflammation, resulting in death.
The 1918 flu so badly inflamed those areas of its victims' lungs that many died through suffocation. And as it happens, that's just how the avian flu kills too.
Those are important characteristics and similarities among the 1918 virus as well as the avian virus.
How does flu infect us in the first place?
So this is what flu looks like under a microscope.
Electron microscope, yeah.
An actual flu virus. But for our purposes, let's represent a virus by this unpleasant fellow. For all his nastiness, he isn't all that complex. In fact, he only has 8 genes. We, by comparison, have more than 20,000. We're going to look at 2 of these 8 flu genes, one because it's responsible for getting the virus into a cell, and the other for getting it out again. Flu gets into cells with the hemagglutinin gene.
So in order to penetrate cells, you could imagine that the hemagglutinin was sort of like a key.
Major key alert! Simply as H. And that key unlocks the cell so that the virus can get
Major
inside.
key alert!
If it gets into your cell, it'll take over the machinery of the cell and start making more copies of itself.
But now the virus has a problem. These copies are stuck to that cell. That's where the other gene comes in. It's called neuraminidase, or N for short.
Neuraminidase is critical for release. Getting back out.
The virus copies use N to cut themselves free. And now each of them, armed with their own H's and N's, are off to infect more cells. In 1918, the virus which killed 50 million people was H1N1. It's in our bodies. The hemagglutinin gene can change. It's as if it can fit the lock, but it can't turn it, which would be great if it stayed that way. But a virus's genetic recipe constantly changes, or mutates, as scientists like to say. And if just the right changes take place in the hemagglutinin gene, those changes could open the lock.
Major key alert.
Allowing it to spread between people. But exactly what are those changes?
Right, so here we can see it again.
Going back to Taubenberger's recipe for the 1918 virus, Ian Wilson and his colleagues at the Scripps Research Institute found the answer to what the 1918 virus may have needed to spread between humans.
Major key alert.
They pinpointed 2 changes, or mutations.
Only 2 mutations were sufficient to change the virus hemagglutinin to adapt to human receptors.
So, could those same 2 mutations in the avian flu's hemagglutinin gene allow it to spread between humans also?
So if we can figure out how to slow it down, studying this virus as a model virus, then perhaps we'll advance our knowledge on the avian H5N1 virus as well. Maybe we can figure out how to stop it.
If Terence Tumpy has his way, the virus that took so many lives in the past may help prevent another from taking more lives in the future.
She's my good deeds and she kisses